Hello, everybody. We are rocking our way into Astro with Elian. So,
Yes.
This is Unpack the Stack. And in these streams, we actually dive deep, do some code, we nerd out or we geek out, whatever you want to call it. What do you call it, Elian? Geeking or nerding?
I call it geeking.
Yeah, me too. It's a little fancier, right? So
Exactly.
we are here with Elian. So, dude, tell us about yourself. What do you do? Where you're from? What are we going to talk about?
So I'm Elian. I'm 24 years old, which is interesting to most people. At every conference, people come to me and say, "Hey, how old are you again?" Because for instance, at JS World, I told the people when I graduated, which was only last year, and they came to me, "How come you're here talking and speaking at this big event?" And I tell them it's just luck. But I'm Elian. I'm from Belgium. I work at vBridge as a software engineer full time. vBridge is a cloud architecture company, cloud native app development, serverless architecture, those things. But also at vBridge, we invest highly in giving workshops and trainings, which is where I'm coming from. So this is kind of my native way of doing things. I love education. And yeah, that's the thing of vBridge, of course. And then on the side, I also do open source. For Astro mainly at this moment. I'm an Astro Ambassador, which just means I do some DevRel stuff, some content writing, technical writing, documentation, and that stuff.
Awesome. So I did see you at VGS Amsterdam and I was totally impressed. And
Cool.
I didn't think about your age. I don't know. It worked and I was happy. And so here we go.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I just realized how old I am compared to you, but that's
yeah,
not a thing here.
Age doesn't stop.
That's the best one. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about Astro because I'm not sure, it's no longer the new kid on the block, but in the approach to building websites, it is. And you know what? I just talked about how old I was, right? I used to build websites the Astro way before it existed. I built websites before jQuery even existed. It's just, you have to put some HTML and JavaScript on the page. How are we going to do it? Maybe we have some sort of static site builder, or we have some CMS that spits it out. This was the way to go. And then we went all the way to the other direction. And so in your words, what is Astro and how does it basically go back to the good old days of the hyper-performance simple pages, but with modern tools? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, that's a difficult question for me because when I graduated, I learned Vue and React at school. So for me, it's a whole different experience than, for instance, for you, who just had to do it with the basic stuff.
Exactly.
I never had to learn, well, I had to learn jQuery, but it also was already kind of old and outdated. Well, it's still a very valuable tool, and we all should still use it sometimes. But Astro takes, exactly like you said, an old approach to new technology. For instance, actually, Astro is kind of based on the typical file-based routing, multi-page application stuff, whereas we, exactly like you said, saw that React, for instance, and Nuxt and Next and all those things actually take a single-page application approach. But right now we have a new movement, which Astro is part of and Quick is part of. They're trying to solve the same problem, but in a different way, where we use multi-page applications and ship as less JavaScript as possible to keep the time to first byte as low as possible and as quick as possible without making it boring.
Exactly, because you still want to use the tools that you're used to, which are so good now, right? So this is a question I always used to ask anybody who would come into my team when I still worked at an agency. I would actually interview them. I'm going to give it to you because you're young, but you are working with Astro a lot. So tell me in your words, what is progressive enhancement?
There
we go.
It depends.
Hey, Bruce. Oh, Bryce. Sorry.
It
All right, go for
depends.
it.
Progressive enhancement. Well,
Does
in
that make
my
sense
own,
in the modern world with all our tools now? Does it actually resonate with you?
it does.
Okay, cool.
It does. But I'm thinking about it because how would you translate progressive enhancement? It can mean a lot, right?
Yes.
Um,
He's going to chat GPT now.
kind of. Could I
Copy.ai maybe.
example which I can use? Like, for instance, we in the past we shipped like websites built for desktops. Then we transitioned to building websites for mobile, and now we have like the mobile first approach, which is part of like the progressive enhancement, and now we're shipping applications which are a whole, like for instance WebAssembly. What a crazy thing that is. We can like build whole
Yes.
applications completely in the browser, for instance Figma or
Yeah.
Photoshop tools. How insane are those? And yeah, progressive enhancement, it's so broad, I don't really know what I can say about it.
Well, how about I give you my definition and see how that fits Astro? Because to
Mhm.
me, when you have progressive enhancement, you build the simplest thing possible that essentially works everywhere. And then you look at the features of the browser or the user's device. And based on those features that they support, you turn on things. And in that sense,
Exactly.
even the internet is a feature, right? And then your
True.
screen size, or the fact that you have touch, or the fact that you have anything. You have JavaScript, that's a feature we're going to turn on. And then when you look at how well Astro is now built, you can use all the fancy stuff that you want, but what comes out is essentially a very, very simple thing. And if you
Exactly.
want, you can hydrate it. If you want, you can add some state. If you want, you can do
you're
an SSR render. That's
you're
progressively
exactly pointing out
enhancing
what.
the
Yes,
feature. And to me,
definitely.
that is my native way of in the old times building, because we used to build like these huge how do you call this, like campaigns for Nike, for example, or for Chanel, all the fancy brands. And they wanted all the features. Like I remember building for the FIFA 2012 games, they needed some fancy features because everything had to have animations and whatever. And so what we tended to do back
Mhm.
then is just build all the fancy stuff so it looks great, and then realize, oh boy, in Internet Explorer it doesn't work, let's add some code. And in another
Yeah.
browser it doesn't work, let's add some code. And then, hey Kevin, I'm just putting some people on the screen here and there.
Hey, Kevin.
um, what that means is that that was bad because you add more code to make it work everywhere. And if you look at the idea of Astro is you add less unless you need it, and I love that part.
Well, exactly. It's like you're basically, in a sense, you're writing HTML on superpowers, which then get compiled down again to just HTML. And if you
Yeah,
want to, you can enable some specific features you need. Um, but still, we ship HTML, and we decide to ship HTML because it works everywhere. And that's really
exactly.
cool. And that's what actually resonated with me and why I started trying out Astro. I came from a PHP world. It makes
Mhm.
sense to me to use multiple pages and losing state in between pages. Um, so yeah, the definition you gave is probably the best one I can come up with. Even
Oh,
better.
nice. Luckily, I still have it. And so,
Yeah.
how does this mean? Like, you, of course, if you're just shipping the simple things, right? So you're
Mhm.
basically using the power that is the browser, because the browser has a lot of features for, let's say, lazy
Oh
image
yeah.
loading, like all the object fit related things with media. And
Hmm.
so, how do you,
And
if you look at Astro, you guys probably didn't build like a fancy Astro image tag, right? Or did you?
there is one, but it's a package you can enable, and you don't
Yeah.
have to use it. And still, even if you use it, it gets compiled down to an asset that you statically use. So
Exactly. So it's a totally native image tag that comes out
yeah,
without
exactly.
extra fancy
Yeah,
JavaScript that you
for
need to like
instance,
preload or whatever.
yep. There are a lot of people who say, "Hey, it's kind of weird and normal that you can just use an A tag to navigate to pages, whereas in Next or in Nuxt you have to use NuxtLink or NextLink,
Exactly.
whatever."
Because they do all the fancy
Um,
stuff with the prefetching
exactly.
and the
Hmm.
complicated stuff that makes it cool, but you also
Hmm.
it's just a different approach to it. And so
Yeah, yeah,
talk to me
definitely.
about what in your words is island architecture?
Hmm. Okay, there is a lot to this because island architecture is big. To me, for one, it means that every component you build, you define on its own. So in Nuxt or in Next, we build little React or Vue components that we all put on the screen together and all
Mhm.
compile down to a one page or whatever. But in Astro, those islands, which we call Astro islands, can be framework agnostic. So you can build
Yeah,
one in Vue, you can build one in React. And if you decide to not hydrate it, which we'll probably come back to later,
yeah.
that still would mean that you're just shipping HTML without any JavaScript by default. Now you can
Yeah.
use it. I also don't recommend mixing and matching frameworks just because you can.
Yeah, because
There
your
is a
bundle
specific
will be
use
bigger,
case.
right?
Of course, if you
Yeah.
decide that you need JavaScript, yeah, then you'll have to ship the bundle, of course. But in the case that you're compiling it all down statically, you will see no delay on your browser if you're just shipping HTML.
And so if I
Um,
ship an island, let's say, that has a
mhm,
little bit of JavaScript, just
mhm.
whatever, let's say a button that listens to a click and it does an alert. You wouldn't do that, but imagine. So that's like a almost like a one-liner, right?
Well,
How much
actually,
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was saying there is actually a use case for that because you're saying you wouldn't actually do. Yeah, there is a specific use case. For example, my website has only
Mhm.
one hydrated component. It's the
Okay.
button on mobile to open up the menu. That's all.
Yeah,
Everything else
exactly.
is statically. So there is exactly what you're saying. So you
And so
can.
that's awesome. And when you have that, how much overhead in extra JavaScript does Astro add to hydrate it to make the island something? How many lines does it add?
I wouldn't know by exact
Probably a
numbers. Maybe
shitty
Dan, who
question,
is
but I
in the
kind of want to
chat,
know.
but I think it's about like 3 kilobytes. It's really not that much. But maybe
Okay, so
Dan,
there.
who's in chat,
Okay.
can answer that better.
Dan,
So
help
let's
us
wait
out.
for an answer. Yeah, but it's
Well,
not a lot.
we're just
It's
we're
quite
gonna build
small.
something soon, so we
Hmm.
might be able to just see
We can
it.
try it out. Exactly. Well, of course, there is the thing. If you're writing that component that you just said that listens to a click, is written in React, then of course you'll have to ship like the base of React to render it out.
Yes.
If you're writing it in native JavaScript, then it gets compiled down to a script and you're not really shipping any bundle. You're just using the browser's JavaScript renderer to use it.
Yes, and so it would. So does it do like the uglify thing that we used to have back in the day?
I don't think so.
Like does it compile, or is it just HTTP2 so it's fine and it's
There is
fast?
an there is an opt-in and an opt-out for that. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Oh,
Okay.
here.
Much smaller
Dan
than 3
actually is, so
kilobytes.
there's a tiny bit of JS to enable islands, much smaller than 3 kilobytes. So I'm
There we go.
assuming you're using browser native modules for these islands, right?
I would think so.
I think soon, not yet, but soon, we'll just build
Hmm.
something and then we'll
Hmm.
see what these
We
islands
can
do,
take a look at it.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, why
Exactly.
not?
Yeah.
Because I'm quite excited by the fact that you can also do native web components. Like, for
Hmm.
example, on my website, currently it's not built in Astro because I had to dive into another direction to learn other things. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah. So Dan is saying you're using Vite, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And here we have Joshua. What's up?
Hey,
Welcome.
Josh.
Everybody's here. I like it. So what I built earlier, it was like a Nuxt website, but I
Hmm.
had a YouTube video player component that I found somewhere and then changed it a lot. And it was just a native web component. You just whack on everywhere and it just works because it's scoped down to its own thing. And I kind of
Hmm.
like that. And so it gives you enough like little hooks to do cool things, not like Vue and React, but it's close.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting thing to be able to
It
add that
is
to
really
Astro as
interesting.
well.
Yeah, and that's the
Right.
whole part of the framework agnosticity. If you want to use lit element, you want to use Alpine JS, you want to use Preact, React, whatever.
Alpine,
There
yes,
is
really?
yes, of course. Hmm.
Oh wow! I'm just
Yep.
giving Dan our Twitch link because
Yes.
he saw that we're also on Twitch. So it's on my personal account on Twitch. There you go. So if you had to build your website now with Astro, what is your preference of how to build it? What's the approach you're
I
taking
wrote a
there?
blog post on that actually not so long ago.
Ooh, cool.
Because at JS World, I got so inspired that I rebuilt my entire website from scratch again, using Astro and using Astro V2. And actually, my preferred way of writing in Astro is just I start out with one HTML component, which is just like the index page. And
Yes.
then I build a layout, which we can reuse over separate pages. Then I add, like, for instance, the footer and the reusable components. I
Yeah.
built them all in Astro. And the moment that I see, hey, this should be interactive and this should be built with a UI library, I start adding those features in. But really, we don't have to, because you can still use Astro components, or you can use your whole website. You can build your whole website using Vue components, but I personally don't do so. I personally prefer writing Astro components over UI components. But of
Yeah.
course, if you're porting a website over from, for instance, let's say Nuxt, there's a whole different use case.
Exactly. It's
So
very
that
interesting.
depends. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also if you think about like where I work at Uniform, we shouldn't go too deep into that, but it's essentially you're able to content edit like your design system and then add external sources to it, and Uniform just outputs one composition with all your design components, with all their props, and then all the data comes from external. And what we also do though, what is very interesting is, oh, I'm just getting this lovely comment here that actually my Twitch is not software really? That's not good, because I probably have it at just chatting or something. That's not good at all. Okay, I cannot
Thank you,
change that
Dan.
while live, I think, because we're doing it through StreamYard. But thank you for that comment. We'll be fixing this for next time. What I was saying is, like, at Uniform, for example, we have an SDK that queries that stuff for you and just renders it on the page, which is very nice. It kind of helps you. It's a little front-end SDK. But you can imagine these SDKs are sometimes a bit more rich because they're used in Nuxt and Next apps. And we do things like personalization. So we have different content. We rehydrate the component with different content based on your location or some other fun stuff.
Yeah.
So if I have these extra state carrying SDK related things, can I actually use Astro with islands, or do I have to make my whole page essentially one island?
No, you can actually use your island should be so small that you can just like choose which one to hydrate and which not. So, for instance, you could start, let's call it the layout. In the layout, you can require your whole JSON API output.
Yeah.
And then you can prop it down to different components. And only the component which should be interactive, you can ship JavaScript to. So it's definitely doable.
Yeah, so that's something I'm quite excited about to check whenever we have time. We're going to obviously build an Astro SDK because this thing is hot. It's so much fun. I build it myself probably and then release it open source and we make it better, but that's another story. Before we actually dive in and code something, so you're going to teach me, what is the difference between Astro 1 and 2?
Well, there is a couple of differences. And one of the main things I keep saying is upgrades mostly are painless. There is not much cases where V1 to V2 upgrade is not really working. Mostly it works.
Okay, cool. Maybe in the case I showed you just before the stream, that's a little hacky. I think it will probably die.
That might break, but that's exactly what you said. It's quite hacky. But there is a couple of things. And what I also wanted to say is, like, when I first started speaking about Astro, we were at version 0.16. And a month ago, we're already at version 2.1. So things are going fast at Astro. And that's really cool to see. And I'm leveraging on that. But for instance, at V2, version 14 for Node got dropped. So right now it's version 16, 18, whatever. There is content collections, which is a way of authoring content and writing Markdown or MDX, but also using Zod for type validation. So there is complete type safety in authoring content, which is really cool. We're going to dive into that for sure. We made the upgrade to V4. There is a better error templating. So because we're highly inspired on developer experience and we really want to give the developer the best experience there is, there is also now hybrid rendering. I think that was a thing, API routes and mixed with server-side generation is also new in
Oh,
V2.
I'm excited about that because could we
Yeah,
potentially make a server-side route, let's say on Vercel or wherever, that is a
exactly.
combination, but like one is a server-side route and the other one is just static stuff. That could work.
Yep.
That's
For
exciting.
instance, I played around with this like last week, where my whole site is statically generated, except for the OG images. They get fetched like every X time. It's really cool.
We're getting the most fun emoticons here.
The Chef
Before we go
Houston.
on, actually, this is a really nice one. Like to me, island architecture or is kind of a progressive enhancement. So that's exactly what Alien and I were just talking about, what progressive enhancement actually is. And so it's literally unusable without JavaScript. Yeah, so to me, coming from many, many years ago, we built websites that just worked without JavaScript. And if you had it on top, it's more fun. You just get more fun things. But like we would have like checkout buttons to add something to bag. We made that work without JavaScript by just posting a form to the backend. And now we can do AJAX calls and all the fun stuff. But if you have built that way, it's so much easier because you learn the browser. And
Of
what I love
course.
about Astro is you're going back to that. So you're teaching people more about the already awesome ecosystem that you have, right?
That's
You
true.
don't have to recreate the new alphabet in your new architecture because the browser already gives you everything. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me see. There's another one. A lot of people think that the site must be fully functional without JS for it to have progressive enhancement. Probably not true. You're right. We had, when I worked at agency for these back customers, we had different tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 1 features had to work without JavaScript, but 2 and 3 just had to look a certain way or had to be progressively enhanced a certain way. And that is kind of fine that way to go.
Of
It's
course.
it always depends. Nothing is ever real.
Exactly. It depends. Exactly.
So you mentioned sort, I think. So does that mean that everything is typed in Astro?
There is an option. So you'll see that later. When you create an Astro project, there is a Houston who is a bot in the CLI who will help you create your project, and he will ask you, "Are you planning on using TypeScript?" Not
Yes.
are you writing TypeScript? No, it's just like, "Are you planning on using TypeScript?" Then you have a couple of choices, and even if you turn it off, if you say no, I just want to use JavaScript, whatever, it will still use TypeScript under the hood.
Okay.
But for
That's
instance,
cool.
not everything is fully typed. Of course, you don't have to. But
No, exactly.
of course, we have Josh in chat, so we should say everything is typed.
Everything is typed, Josh. We know. Now, but the thing is, if your basic, your core, your skeleton is typed, I think we're good to go. Like you don't have to
Exactly.
always write TypeScript in your front end because you can just
Nope.
infer from these API calls that you're using. And this is the way I
Exactly.
like it. Like I have
Exactly.
projects. Like I recently learned to do TypeScript and React because I'm a Vue person, so I've had to learn a bit. My front end doesn't have much TypeScript because all the SDKs
It
I
doesn't
use
have to.
are typed. I'm good to
Exactly.
go. Like the most I
Exactly.
do is like add string or it's a boolean, and maybe some of my component props have certain types that I just like to be inverted. That's it.
Exactly.
There's nothing else.
For me, it's kind of the same. I just use my types in props, for instance, to make sure
Exactly.
the
Same here.
validation goes right and such, and then maybe API calls. But everything else,
There you go.
exactly.
Astro is a great intro to TypeScript. I think that's a really nice approach to it, because if you have not done it, like I've written JavaScript for like 15 years or maybe probably longer by now without TypeScript. And then you make some crazy mistakes if you look back, like holy crap, right? But if you then have to go into a complicated React project that's full force with all the crazy stuff, it's not a nice bridge to learn, let's say. So
It
if you
has a
like
high
ease into it,
learning curve. Yep,
exactly.
exactly. That's true.
So are you ready to just shall I just
Oh
code some
yeah.
stuff and you can
Oh
help
yeah.
me?
Let's
How about
just
that?
start building. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so as we have a pretty active chat, what I'll do is I'll make my screen with our stream slightly smaller. I put it to the right. So when I share my screen, we might see it, but that means we can also see the chat, which is important because you guys are going to help me with Alien.
Oh yeah.
Let me share my screen. Share screen. Entire screen. Because I have used Astro once. I made a video on YouTube. It had version.
Really?
It was not version 1 yet.
Probably
And
0.2024 as such. That was
something like that. Yeah. And I was excited about it because I did like React in Vue components or something like most
Mhm.
videos back then when we did a new Astro project with that. But now we're so far in. I'm ready to rock. So we have, as we see here, a support squad, which I like.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
Let me just put this on the stream. So you see us a little bit on the right here, and you see all the chat. So let's see if I make that smaller, how does it look? Oh, perfect. All right. I like this website, by the way, because there's a bit of grain inside this color. It's so cool. I'm such a nerd. Anyways, is this the best way to start? Oh, it seems like I might have lost Elian for a second. What that means is I'll just continue until he comes back. Oh, there he is.
My internet disconnected. I'm sorry.
No, not a problem at all. I live on the countryside. I'm doing this on a 4G box. I know exactly how you feel. All right, we're going to go back to our previous setup. So we're looking at the chat. We have everything on. Am I sharing everything? I am. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so
I can see your screen. Perfect.
Honestly, this website is killer. It looks really cool. And this is kind of fun. This is just
Astro
good
has
fun.
amazing designers.
Is this Nux 3? Because this is really quite slow. Like when I build a Nux 3 website now out of the box and I don't do crazy stuff, I score higher than this. So I'm always excited to see what this means. And I know it's HTTP Archive and Lighthouse.
I think it might be. Oh yeah, then just.
Oh yeah, so it's Nux 2,
not Nux 3. Yep.
It's making more sense because Nux 2 has a lot of payload files that are always loaded, and time to interactive is slightly high. I know this. Nux 3, not so much. But like for example,
it is, and of course, like in Nux 3, they're still experimenting with stuff. Like for instance, the now newer lazy hydration principle they're introducing. It's very interesting to see them also going that route.
But if you look at this website, I released this last week. This is on Next.js because I had to learn. So I was like, why not?
Of course.
This scores 100 in Lighthouse and in everything. Like
awesome.
I can show you this, and this is without any optimizations. Like, look, my RUM is literally 100 for all the people going here on their mobile. And this is out of the box Next. So I love these kind of graphs, but I always take them with a grain of salt. But this is not to say anything bad. I just sometimes you just need to look at this and then kind of read this report, because I shared this report today in my newsletter because it's a really good report. I love it.
It's really well written.
It is, yes. Anyways, let's get away from that. This is all fine.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm just gonna do this.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Should work.
Should work. I love that.
Well, Louis, I know it works. Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so what will happen now, I'll just give you like a little narration, is you'll download, of course, the Create Astro tool, but it will also introduce Houston to you, who is our little famous bot, who was also here in chat.
Oh, look at this. This is so cute.
And he will ask you a couple of questions. So I guess you just go ahead and answer them as you like.
Where should we create your new project? Actually, I just made a folder, so I'm assuming
you can just / then.
Exactly, that's what I thought. Cool. Shall we go empty, or what is your?
I was going to say let's go empty, because to show off how easy this is and how quickly pickable it is. Let's go empty.
Okay, I like that. This is some CLI. Look at this.
Yeah, Nate is really great at building APIs, building CLIs. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I love the DX for this kind of stuff. Like, if it works well, it's like, phew.
The Astro team is really putting a lot of work into that, in the whole
Well,
developer experience.
what I love about it is that the design comes back, right? When you look at this and you look at this, it's the same thing, which is just epic.
All right, then. The
Install
library is
dependencies. I'm
called...
assuming yes.
Yeah. Go ahead and install the dependencies.
While that happens, let's have a look at the check.
Yeah, Dan just said Nate has made a library based on this work, and that's true. It's called Clank. Am I right? It's something like that.
Cool. And here is that loading gradient thing available in the standalone util. Everybody in the world should be able to use it. Yeah, exactly. I would honestly love to just be grabbing that and put it in my own CLI.
I'll look it up for a moment. I think it's Nate.
My 4G is still installing, but we're good to go.
No, go ahead.
There it is. Do you plan to use TypeScript? How about yes?
Yes, exactly.
We're going to go strict. We can make a new Git repository because we might want to actually publish this to, let's say, Vercel or Netlify or wherever you want me to do it. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Lift off confirmed. Oh, this is so cool. I love it.
Well, there is actually a discussion going on in Astro right now. That is changing the default port to 4321, which is actually a crazy idea.
Oh, lift off.
Lift off.
Sorry,
there you go.
I'm a bit slow. That's really fun.
Yeah, Astro is really good in like making puns and jokes about the web space.
Well, I'm wondering why this wasn't filled with the title I gave the project.
It should be. Oh, no, it's not, because you didn't give it a name. You just created it in /.
You are right. I said /, right?
Yep. So it doesn't infer the name from...
All good, though.
Okay, so let's just npm run dev and let's take a look at what's in the browser.
We did
right
npm.
Now.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you used npm, but that's okay.
That's all right.
I forgive you.
All right. Well.
All right. So now we can see Astro, which is just the index page, right? So if you take a look,
still works.
There is no JavaScript at all.
Yeah, exactly. I like it.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, let's have a look at how this was actually created. I'm assuming there's just a page. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So there is just one page now. And it's just an H1. So you can change this. As you can see, it's like just HTML. Don't focus on the 3 dashes at the top right now. We're going to get into that.
So when I do this, do we have... Yep. Oh, there's actually a really good module reload, because this is feet, right?
Based on v4. Yes,
nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's
super really fast.
Okay, that's great. All right, and this looks to me like where you put like the stuff in like YML or YAML.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
So this is what we call the front matter, just like we do with
front
Markdown
matter. That's the word. Yes,
the front matter, and that's actually the place where we put all server-side code in Astro. Well, all server-side executed code. So you could just put a console.log there, for instance.
Oh. So this is going to show right now here. There we go. So it re-evaluated immediately because feed is very fast. This is very cool.
And it's not showing up in the browser's log.
No, and that's of course the whole point.
That's exactly that's the whole point. True.
And it directly set up Workbox, or is this something I was still having locally because I had another project? Yeah, wait.
That's something that you'll be having.
Here we go. Let's just... Oh, look, it's a little full.
Well, and exactly that's the reason why I believe we should change the default port.
Yeah, exactly, because I have a whole bunch of stuff running that's always 3000.
Yeah, right? Okay. I know. I have exactly the same problem. Yeah,
okay, we're good.
Perfect.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
Okay, what do you think is the best approach? Do you first want to like build a layout and then go from there?
Or what I would love to try first, I'm thinking, is this. Like, I have this here. So I'm doing a lot of conference talks. And so I just have a little API for me that I'm running as a microservice on Vercel that returns all my talks. And you can see I've been busy.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, this is like, it's crazy. I do too many talks, but I love doing it. So there you go. And there's also some upcoming stuff, right? We are developers. Then I'm going to Athens, few years London, whole bunch of stuff.
Wow.
Shall we just query this thing with native fetch, which I assume will probably be polyfilled in the backend of Astro?
I don't know actually if it's polyfilled, but there is access to.
It's native fetch is browser. It's not actually backend, right?
That's
it's not
true. It's not backend. That's true. And there is also, by the way, let's say access to top level await, so you can just do await and then fetch exactly.
Yeah, because I'm assuming this is top level await style that just works.
Yeah, correct.
Like that.
Yes.
All right.
So now maybe just console log it, for instance. Yep.
Maybe we can do this. And then this should be something.
Well, that should be exactly something, at least.
I don't even think I have to refresh my browser.
No, you don't.
Look at okay, so
exactly
it is then server. It's polyfilled, so it works extremely well. Super easy.
Beautiful. So maybe let's render it out as a list.
Exactly. So what is the way to do that here?
Exactly. And actually, Astro uses a way in between JSX and HTML. So actually here, you can use JSX like you're used to with React. So now you can just open up the brackets, exactly, and then do result.map.
And then return an coming object. From Vue, this tripped my brain out. Because you know what, to me, a map always needs to be assigned to a const. And then you do something with the const. But of course, in JSX, this comes out as a return, so it makes sense.
I know. The first time I did JSX, I was also like, why isn't this a for each?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's weird.
Wait, maybe I can do it even easier.
Yeah, you can just do it like that and then return whatever you like. So list element, yes. And if you now want to speak to a variable, exactly like you do.
Yeah, I just have to check what my variables are.
I think it was
let's do talk. The conference.
Or conference, whatever.
So why is this
that should work? Probably because it's just any, yeah.
Wait, we can do a quick thing here. Do I have to do this? Export or?
You just can use type or just interface locally. And don't, well, probably you have to export it because you probably are going to want to reuse that.
Yeah, I think we can just.
Oh, I don't think slug exists.
No, I don't know why I did that. Oh, date is somehow an object. Oh, then we have to make a type for that. Let's just keep it simple.
For now. Your tag should be a list of strings as well, I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It doesn't like it, though.
Conference. Josh, help us out.
Who's here? Let me see if everything is still working. Yeah, we seem to be good.
Yeah, we seem to be good.
You know what? For now, because I just want to get something on the screen. Oh, there's Josh. Help us. Help us.
Our TypeScript master.
This should make sense, no?
I think so.
Oh, no, it's already fixed. I was
assuming... Oh yeah, of course you made it. You made it an array, of course.
Yeah, well, it's an array of talks, but that's actually the result rather than the thing itself. Okay, so we're good to go.
Yep.
All right, let's see what we get. Oh.
Ooh.
Let's have a look at the console, because it could be that we have an extra, that the object is different.
That it should be talks or something.
Yeah, I have some result prop or something. Yeah, here, items.
Items, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
I cannot believe how easy this is.
Yeah, it's really cool. And maybe I'm thinking
there's zero boilerplate here. Beam, that's
not at
it.
all. Of course, there is one downside you should keep track of, and that is that because you're rendering or generating server side at this moment at build time, your API will get called only once. So if you're pushing this to, for instance, Vercel, and you're never rebuilding your website, your content will never get updated.
Exactly.
So you should at least
just
have
SSG or whatever you want to call it nowadays.
SSG,
right?
exactly. Yep. Of course, there are ways around this with building with nightly or stuff.
Yeah, because now when you look at Next.js, for example, they have an endpoint that's called revalidate, and you can just make a webhook connect to one URL and just revalidate that one, and it just rebuilds it. But that's a Vercel feature, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And I do use that with my own website. For instance, I display a list like you do for my events, and that's a nightly build.
Yeah. Oh, you just build it every night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might just do the same thing, but that's an easy fix, because what you can also do is, like, right now these talks are coming from Contentful, so I can actually make a webhook in Contentful that when I actually publish, it just rebuilds my website in Vercel.
Okay.
So then you fix
that's
that.
a good idea.
Okay, so right now this is extremely simple, but it's good enough. What is the next thing we should do?
Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to add styles, or do you firstly want to get into, for instance, using a front-end framework, or both at once? Can be done as well.
So when you say use styles, let's say I like something like Tailwind or something, or like well, maybe not what I say. Well, how would you add styles to a project like this? Because to me, CSS file and we're good to go, right?
It depends. It depends. Mostly because I want to make reusable styles, but of course you have reusable components, so you can go anyway. But the easiest to me is still to use Tailwind, or actually I prefer Uno CSS, but with utility styles. Let's call it just utility styles.
Okay, and could you do CSS scoped styles to a component for, let's say, this?
By default, it's scoped.
Shall we just make a little component that is the li, which is the talk, and then we do a scoped style in there?
That's a very good idea. Let's do that. And let's also make it type safe. You have to put that one in source folder, by the way. Yes. Awesome.
I might not even need this for now. Or
you
how
will.
Does that work with props?
I will, exactly. Because you want to make it type safe. Well, I want to make it type safe. We should. So what you do here is just type interface and then just talk, for instance. We can also import the type talk and then just give the whole talk as a prop.
Yeah, I like that, because then we can add the date and whatever we want, right?
I think you just should extract the type, which is now in, you should extract that to a different, I guess, TypeScript, Exactly. Okay. And now import that in both components in the front matter. So you can just type an import like you would normally.
I have the feeling that maybe the Vue.js setup script has looked at this, because this feels basically the same, but this came before, I think. So
maybe.
Can I just do this?
Yeah. It depends. Do you have the... I don't think that will work because it's lowercase.
Where's my types? Oh, wait, it's lowercase.
It's lowercase, yeah. And it's only one level up, right?
It knows types.
That
but I can somehow
work.
Oh, it's never used.
Oh yeah, okay, but that doesn't. Why is it never used? If that might just be like a bug in the VS Code syntax for now. Oh yeah, of course you have to import
Oh,
type.
really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Thank you, Brass Guy.
thank you so much. Oh, but then now this is not happy.
It's probably because you have to add .js, I think.
Well, it's a TS file.
I know. Wait. In the past, you can use .ts, right? Exactly. Brass
Already
Guy,
included. Oh, it's just types. That's what we have.
You cannot use types. Yep. Just do it like that. Normally, that should work.
You know what? It could very well be that my VS Code is just annoyed. So it says already included file name, different from the file name types.ts.
Oh, maybe it's because you did like imported it uppercase then lowercase. Maybe that's some kind of bug.
It's one of those. I knew it.
Yeah, it's gone. Okay.
Yeah, because it's probably keeping a VS Code config or like something in the cache. I've seen that before. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're making
that's
sense
great.
again. Cool.
Yeah, so now we have to import the type as well in our other one. Yep.
Okay, so
but we also have to we don't have to really export the type, but we have to make an interface which is called props to make our props type safe. So let's just add interface props with an uppercase, which is then don't have the equal sign, just start the brackets thing. Yep. And then you just have to say like talk type talk.
Like this?
Yeah, just like you normally would use string, you just use talk, I guess.
But this could be lowercase. Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So how do we actually load this component?
Well, there is, of course, still one thing you have to do. Because in talk.astro, that file, you still have to use talk. So as you can see right now, you have the talk variable. We are never assigning it. So you still have to destructure that from astro.props. So right now you have to like add const brackets. You have to use the square. How do you call them in English again? The accolades?
I call them like curly, but I don't think that's a real word.
Curly braces, right?
Wasn't it something like this?
Yes, it is, but you have to replace the from by just an equal sign. That's it.
Of course.
And then just replace the 3 dots. Squiggly wigglies. That's a good one, Josh. Thanks.
Wiggly wigglies.
It has to be lowercase, and then you can just ask props, which is then the interface.
Okay.
Yes, that's awesome. So now we have our complete type safe little Astro component. So as you go back to
wiggly on the chat. Sorry, I just had to do it. It's too good.
No, you're totally right. That's awesome. Squiggly wigglies. So now you can go back to index. Yeah, so you can go back to the index. And I don't think you have set up aliases in your TS config.
I'm assuming I didn't do anything, so let's
then you don't. So you just have to import the component like you normally would, just like with any framework. Just import and then the default, so talk from...
but this is not going to work.
That is going to work.
Yeah, because it's the same as the type.
Oh, then it's not going to work.
We probably have to change this then.
You don't? I think so. I don't think you have to change it.
It depends on what it exports.
I think it just exports default, so it doesn't really matter.
In that case, we're good.
So now you can just exactly right there, just use the talk item and then have to give the prop.
Oh, no, we have to go back to JSX. Here we go.
Yeah, you have to use the squiggly wigglies.
But this should be okay.
Yeah, that should work. And right now you should go back to your browser and you should see exactly the same. And still no JavaScript being shipped except for you didn't restart the dev server. But you still should see some JavaScript because the vDev server is running, of course.
Yeah, exactly. It's a local server, right? Look how fast that loaded. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's insane. Exactly. Awesome.
This was actually like the struggle was a little bit like, hey, what are the props and how does the TypeScript work? But actually, there's not much to this.
No, it's actually very easy. It's some kind of learn curve, but you get there
Not
in
big.
like
If you know
exactly.
JSX, this is as easy as it gets. And if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
use TypeScript, it was even less.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I love this. The fact that this is all server side and whatever comes out is just your template, which is close to how I natively like this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And there is also like no restriction in sense of like, for example, Vue, where in a template you have to use one top level component. There is no restriction in this. You can use whatever you like.
Exactly. Go.
There we go.
Cool. It's
You can see how
horrific
easy it is.
design, but it works. Okay, how do we
there
add
is
CSS to this?
Yeah, you just add a style component. That's it. Just like
Really?
you normally would, you just have to add style, and then you can do it.
Do I
You
have
don't
to do
have
something
to
fancy here?
Well, if you want to use post CSS or SCSS or whatever, you do have to install it, of course, but there
Yeah.
is no extra thing required. Just except for the language itself.
I'm just doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that really works. That's very easy. And so, oh wait, now I want to see how this actually gets CSS. Oh, there we go. So
It's
this is the
compiled down.
sculpt class name.
Yep.
And so what comes out as the CSS here? So there's some feed stuff. Oh, it's just inlined?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think there is a way around it to use. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, that's true what Bryce guy is
So
saying.
we
You don't
need
have
to
to
add
use
scoped.
scoped.
Okay, cool.
No, in Astro, all styles by default are scoped, but there is an opt out by using is global.
So talk to me about why that is, because in CSS itself, that's not the case, right?
Well, I guess it's just a choice of
It's
design.
just easy to use.
Yeah, and also I think it came out of the thing of using style components and making reusable components. It would be quite logical to do it this way.
It actually makes sense. Because
Exactly.
this is my only gripe with this kind of stuff is that new developers don't actually understand the cascading bit of CSS anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But this is maybe just me being grumpy and old.
Maybe.
let's just do that. Let's say that. Okay, so list style is none. So I can just whack it here anywhere.
You can just whack it there, no problem at all.
Hmm.
You can also use it at the top if you like. You can use it at the bottom if you like. You can use it in between components.
I haven't used normal CSS in a while. I'm always like Tailwind.
But you can add Tailwind if you like.
Okay,
it's actually just one command. Yeah, you just have to stop the dev server and just add npx astro add, or just npm run astro, but
like this?
Astro add, and and then just Tailwind.
Or just Tailwind?
No, not CSS, just Tailwind. If I'm correct, I think so. Yep.
Yep.
That's the DX I was talking about. This is so easy.
The thing. It's a little bit like how Nux does it. It's very good.
Yeah, exactly. It will show you what packages it's installing. It will generate.
It will even make us like.
Yeah. It will update the styles. It will add your config, and it will actually also update.
Is where Astro is winning. Honestly,
I
this
think
is
so
so
too.
good.
I think so too. And there is a lot of effort put into this.
Oh, and it knows the Astro files and the Vue files and the Svelte. Why not?
Everything you can use is there. Yep. So now you can just go ahead and use Tailwind.
Holy moly.
You don't even have to like import a global CSS. You can do that. You don't have to.
Let's see. Oh, there's some Emmet going on here that I didn't expect. Okay, I'm doing a block level inside a list. I'm sorry, but we'll just have to go for it.
Yes,
So
there we go.
this we don't need anymore. Now we have a mix of tailwind and whatever we have here.
And if I'm correct, that should just work out
I'm
of the box like
assuming.
this.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
It still looks very bad, but it really works.
It's working.
Oh yeah, and of course I'm zoomed in by a lot. So I think that also doesn't really help us. There we go.
That might be the case.
But we are not here to make an awesome design. However, normally
No, we're
I
just
try
showing
to
off
do
the
that.
functionality.
So this works really, really well.
Yeah, and works almost out of the box like this.
As close as, essentially. So now that we have this, what I actually want to do is render these list items in view. Or should we do something else?
No, I'm all for it.
Okay, let's render this in view. So I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm just typing. Oh, NPX.
That's it. That's just it.
This is so easy. It's crazy.
It is so easy.
In the meantime, let me just have a look at.
Yeah, and by the way, I have a very small bladder, so I'm doing the toilet stop here.
Yeah,
but I'll see you in a minute.
Run for it. I'll see you in a bit. I'll be installing this stuff. Continue. Okay, let's just install some things. Run it again. Okay, let's have a look in our config. Okay, so we've installed Vue now, but do I just make a component called? Wait, well, let's just try something. What's up, Mark? How are you doing? And then we also have Kevin. Solid. We can do Solid after this. I'm quite excited. So Mark, now that you're here, we are literally adding a Vue.js component now to an Astro native build. And I'm quite excited to see how it works, but I might actually just have to, go to the docs because Elian is in the toilet. Vue. Okay, we added Vue. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, you're so fast.
Oh, you wrote the docs. Amazing.
Yeah, I thought I made a Vue file. Then I thought, why not just,
Okay, what are you trying to do?
Oh, wow. Fancy stuff. Well, essentially, I want to replace this one for now with a Vue component, essentially.
Well, then just start writing your Vue component like you normally would do. Exactly the same.
Oh, okay. Oh, I forgot.
Now you have to look at the Vue docs.
Been a while. Oh, this is very bad because I've been working on Vue for so many years. Here, this is what we need. But we need props. Where's the search? Am I just here?
Just Command K.
Oh yeah, you're right. This is what I was looking for. We don't need a ref yet. We just need props. And this is for
your talk object.
Why is this complaining? It's not complaining.
Probably. I was thinking probably it should be lang ts because you're writing TypeScript.
Oh.
And I actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but I actually wrote a complete guide to using Astro as a Vue.js developer like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, we're going to have to have a look at that.
It's on Vue Mastery.
Oh, on Vue Mastery even. Oh, you've passed to the awesome people then.
Oh, yeah. And I'm wearing my Vue
that?
School t-shirt. Well, sweater.
Look. Sponsored.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. You see? I've actually gone there before.
Yeah, I think I DM'd you the link. Yeah, there it is. So there, if you're not quite sure on how to do this, you can always like go back
You can
and
always
check.
go here. I'm totally down with that. But for now, we're here. So I
Yeah.
made this into, I don't actually need the props.
No, I
I
think
don't know
that
if
should
this is
work.
enough, to be fair.
I think it is, but it probably will say it's an any type.
Exactly. But let's stick it like this just for a
Yeah,
sec.
let's just don't care for now.
Just for now. So what I'll have to do is actually just do.
Yeah, just change it up by using
Honestly,
view.
if this
That should
works,
be it.
this is too crazy. If this works, because we're actually calling a view item with JSX here.
You are.
But view in JSX does work. Oh,
I know.
it
I know.
just worked.
It
Oh,
works.
this is insane.
That's the whole mind-blowing thing. It's so easy to use components, reuse components, and mix and match them. It's a very native way of doing things.
This is just painfully easy.
Yep.
With that in mind, okay, now we're going.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Go for the craziest things you can.
I've never done solid, but Kevin just asked us to add it.
Okay. But we have the Astro support squad in chat, so that's
Exactly,
no
because I've
worry.
never even used solid. But Kevin, you're gonna help us, right?
Well, if you're familiar with React, kind of familiar, and are willing to look up some things, you'll get quickly on hands with Solid.
Okay, let's do it.
And if we have Dan in chat still, he's also a Solid Core member.
Oh, really? Is it
Yeah.
is it a TS file or a solid file? I don't even know.
TSX, just like you would write React.
Okay, cool. Hey, wait. I think what we should do is just.
Yeah, probably. So what do you want to do in your Solid
I just
component?
want like a simple component with props. So it's literally just a React component, I imagine.
That's almost
Actually,
the same syntax. Yep.
Something like this.
Yep. Well, it's exactly like that. You just have to, remove the my
I don't need
component.
this, right?
No, yep. That's, and you probably have to export it as well.
Something like this.
That should work. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
You still have to rename your item. There in the props.name, you have to change that up.
Props.name.
Yeah, it's gone by now. It's okay. Yeah, it's an any type. You can import the type as well.
Exactly. This is so cool if this works.
It will work.
Where are my types?
One level up types. Yep.
Okay. Okay, we have to go JSX, obviously.
Obviously, exactly. And now,
Seriously?
if everything goes well, you just have to change your extension again. I think you do have to, do JS there.
I don't. It doesn't
Or
exist.
is it just? I think that's documented in the docs. I think it should work like that.
Gonna be this.
Yeah, I think so too.
I hope it's not going to grab view now. Okay, something happened at least.
Something happened, exactly.
Oh, wait. So it's not liking something here. Oh, I guess. No, that's the view thing. Okay, what's
No, you don't have to do that. I think it's exporting a type wrong or importing a type wrong.
Okay, wait, what's happening here? Talk is not assignable to type string. Talk item.
I think you have.
We need. Where is it? This one. Oh, yeah. All right.
But will that fix it? Probably not, because you didn't export default.
Oh, you're right. That's not actually the problem. This is not complaining. This seems to be totally fine. This is
I actually
normal
also don't know
CSS.
Solid that well, but I'll take a look at the docs.
Well,
because they're going to help us in any way.
so essentially, it should be this props name. Oh, these are the. Wait.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you have to change the props, or maybe you should destructure the props. Just
Maybe
put it
this
in
is what it
between
is.
squiggly wigglies.
This might be it.
That might work.
This is not a thing.
That's not going to work.
This is a thing, though.
Will that work in that way? I'm not quite sure.
No, I need my colleagues to
take a
know
look at
TypeScript more.
What if you change up just to props.talk just to check if that works?
Oh, like this? Okay. Thanks, Joshua. Let's try this.
Oh, the 3 dots.
Well, we're oh.
That's a lot of talks on one page. It's
yes.
He,
oh wow! Really?
Yeah, it's talk.
I got all of this.
Yeah.
Not complaining now.
Well, I don't see any errers, so I
just
guess
restarting it because I'm old school.
Yeah, that works. Thank you, Josh.
Okay,
awesome.
So essentially, this worked out of the box without any issues. I was just slow in the brain.
Except for knowing the UI framework itself, of course.
Okay, so if we just... This is going to be identical.
I think so, yes. But you probably have to remove the solid integration because I think it
you think it might be annoying each other?
Yeah, because they both use the .tsx extension, so that would be kind of...
Oh, look, now it's becoming real React. You see? That's cool. So in Solid, it was not complaining, and in React it is, which...
So now you're probably using the React renderer.
But I'm thinking there's just smart defaults in Astro, so it just worked. But I'm assuming this is not really a normal use case. You would probably do this.
You probably won't do that. That's true. And of course, you're also reusing the same component literally. That wouldn't be a use case in most normal sites.
And so when I look at so this is of course Tailwind is being just injected.
The best way to check this, Tim, is to run a build and then check what's in the dist folder.
This is what I like.
So now we
time is flying, by the way. So
happening.
let's do a build and see what comes out.
So if you now run npm run preview, just like you would in Vite, yeah. Now you're checking the real example.
So this is the actual output.
Yeah, the deployed example.
This. We like this.
And so that's so clean.
And this is basically just Tailwind just-in-time compiler with only what we need, essentially.
Exactly. All the CSS you aren't using is being purged away. It's very clean and beautiful. Right? Exactly, Josh.
Oh, well, all of this is going to be terrible. Wait, that's only two.
Well, exactly. SEO is probably going to be not really good.
Not really going to do what we wanted. No, but of course, this is going to come out well because there's no JavaScript. Because we didn't add an island.
There is nothing.
No, so this is fine.
Yeah.
This is still slow. But it's my local. So this doesn't count. So time is flying. So I kind of want to do one last thing is add an island. And maybe we can just add like a click handler or something.
Yeah, let's go for a click handler or just like a counter is my typical go-to to show off what
islands are. Yeah, but we have a component, right? So let's just add it in here.
Yeah, of course.
Should we just do something nasty? Well, let's do it in Vue.
Yeah, because you're probably more a Vue expert than I am. So go ahead and do it in Vue.
By now, I don't know what I am anymore. You know what? Let's just keep it in React because we're there now, anyways.
Okay.
I think it's like this.
Yeah. And then you have
terrible.
Well, you have to put an event in, so it's a function.
So how
Yeah,
about
so
we
you
actually...
put brackets and then an anonymous function.
Oh, like this.
Yep. There you go. And now you can do the alert or console log, whatever. Yeah.
I love how live streams show how good I'm at typing or not.
Oh, same. I'm actually not a really good programmer.
There we go. I'm just a generalist that gets away with stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So out of the box, this should do nothing.
That shouldn't work, exactly.
Did it actually add it?
Well,
No.
no, because there is also no dev server running. You're still running your preview.
Oh, you're totally right.
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
And now it
so
shouldn't
nothing
do
came out
anything.
because this is totally cool. This is how it should work. So now, do we just...
Well, you're importing the component into your index page. So you would go over your island architecture right over there.
So I could just do... there's a
we call
property
them
here we can add,
client
right?
directives. Yep. And you
Yeah.
can see them right away. And they also, they give you a really good example of what they are by just telling you inside of VS Code in IntelliSense what they do.
Very cool.
You shouldn't use client only.
I just want to try. I know.
Well, client only is completely opt out of the renderer, and it doesn't. It does work in a different way. Now you have to do an equals and then add React as a value actually.
So let's
client
just do this.
Yeah, it's client load, client visible, client idle. Those are the ones that casually just work out of the box. And visible is actually the best one for actually almost all use cases.
Yeah, because it just loads the island once it's in screen, essentially.
Yeah.
But so tell me, do you use an event observer somehow?
Of course, it uses the intersection observer.
Intersection, that's it.
Yeah, it does have to, because otherwise you have no way of knowing it's inside.
But if you want to do an intersection observer, you need a DOM node to assign that to.
Well, you can
so
just...
do you add a DOM node? No, you don't. How does that work? That's magic.
I think it's just inline in the island.
Oh, it's the island itself that you assign it to. Nice. I'm assuming.
I think so too. I guess you got to talk to the compiler people to be sure of this, but I think so.
This is a native JavaScript component, I imagine.
Yeah.
And you give all the props to it.
Yes, exactly.
So my only issue with this is potentially your DOM gets huge.
Will it? Of course it...
Then again, go here and check this out.
Well,
right?
I was going to
look
say...
at this one. Look, it's
compare
adding
it to
all the data in a script tag here, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same thing. So this is just in the DOM, and otherwise it's in a script. I guess that's not the worst in the world.
Exactly.
But this is...
it's a different use case.
And the thing is, it's not more nodes. It's just more attributes. It's not so bad.
That's true.
And so let's just refresh this. Okay, we have the chunks. When I scroll, nothing happens because it's all loaded in a chunk.
Yep.
Okay, so this is coming out. Okay, of course, it needs to have React now.
Of course. So you have to ship the library itself.
I'm so...
And that's the reason why I always prefer to go with just regular Astro components before I start with anything else.
Exactly, because now when we have a look at this, there is like 1.3 megabytes of stuff coming over the wire now.
You're still in dev mode. So maybe we should do a comparison in between, because you're still just using the React component, right? The Vue component and such aren't loaded.
No, it's just React now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so now we've done a build. So 228 kilobytes, everything. You know what? I'm not upset about that.
Well, it's quite a lot, but it's still React, so you're depending on that.
Okay, so now we might have to keep calling it item. Now we get it from Astro. So it has JavaScript because we haven't. Oh, we didn't put the onClick in there.
And you had an error as well, but
yeah, I saw that
later. Now you're going for native JavaScript, of course.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know if this is possible. In a while. I think this is fine.
That should work, yes. Oh yeah, you're using double quotes. You should use single quotes.
Of course. Right, but what was the mistake that it had?
Ooh, that seems. Oh yeah, you have to use a different import statement, I think.
It's a export. Oh, this is the wrong one.
It's the Astro you're loading in, right? So that should work. It's
maybe we can just
export it as default. Yeah, probably if there is an error, the error overlay of Astro will show you what it is.
Exactly.
It's a really good one.
Actually,
it seems to work.
I'm refreshing the thing, but it's so fast. But actually, the onClick is not working. Oh, maybe we just do this.
Oh yeah, of course. We're too used to we're too used to JSX.
And there's no need for it. Okay. So this works perfect. And somehow it doesn't want to build though. Oh, look, there's some stuff going on.
Oh yeah, of course, you're hydrating an Astro component. Astro components never should be hydrated. They're not intended to use that way.
Aha.
Before version 1, you could, but it's a deprecated function now. There we go. Nice. And normally you shouldn't ship any JavaScript right now.
Well, no, because it's just an
well, it's in line.
Exactly. So how about that?
Exactly.
This is
awesome.
Very cool. And the CSS is so tiny also.
It's super small. It's like 400 bytes.
Exactly. So time was flying and people were really helping us. And I'm super excited by that. This is so cool. And people are actually still watching us while we are struggling through this. And you know what? It wasn't really a struggle. It was actually super easy.
It's just solving little bugs along the way.
Yeah, it's just our
because we introduced ourselves.
Exactly. So, final thoughts on your end.
Well, of course, you know my opinion on Astro. I think it's super cool what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I think it's a really cool way of solving problems we have created by using SPAs.
Exactly.
But for instance, I think I can say this. There is one thing on the roadmap for version 3. Well, I don't know if it's actually version 3, but one of the next versions, and it's actually in SPA mode inside of Astro. So there are things moving and coming, and it's trying to do different things. But one of the main things that still draws me to Astro is its amazing developer experience and its amazing docs. I think that's one of the key features that keeps people so well inside of the Astro ecosystem. It's because they can look up everything and they find their information that they need.
To me, this felt super stable, and I kind of I have a bunch of experience as a developer, and I kind of just assumed certain things, and they actually worked.
And they worked.
Which means people that built this thing have the same assumptions, and that's smart defaults is everything.
Yeah,
And I think Nuxt and Vue are doing that really well as well.
true.
Having recently learned Next and React, it's a little bit less like that because it's so low level, right? You do JavaScript through JSX, and it's
That's
just a
true.
different approach to it. It's not bad or good. It's just I had to adapt a bit
It's
more
just
to it. This is
different.
native to me.
Exactly. And since it's just HTML and superpowers with a bit of JSX in between, it feels very easy to learn. There's not such a high learning curve. If you want to build reusable
Exactly.
components, you can do that in like 2 days with someone who has never used React before, or never has used Vue before. Whereas if you're trying to build a next app, you kind of have to know certain things, like for instance the router links and how they work,
Yeah.
and you don't have that learning struggles with Astro.
You know what? In the end, if you look at this back in like half a year or something or a year, they're all kind of aligning a little bit, and it's just
Oh, of
your
course,
taste.
definitely.
And this one, I think I love this, and I think it's very interesting. I just want to see what happens when React server components come out, when they stream server components to the edge with Next app directory, how that is going to change the game because they're going to
That
be
will be
native SSR now. You have to say
exactly.
use client to be able to go client. So it's not really islands, but it's a different approach to it. So I'd love to see how that compares once that's stable.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well to see, like for instance, Vue 3 with their lazy hydration things, and
Yes,
the
that's
new
cool
Vue,
also.
well, the Nux tree, sorry, and then
Yes.
Vue 3 with their vapor mode.
Yeah,
I'm
also.
really cool to see that everyone is trying to solve the same problem in a very different way. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm very excited for the future of frameworks.
exactly. And it has been like this for a while, but it's just going so fast now.
Oh
So
yeah.
to end, where can people find you online?
I think that the easiest should be Twitter, which is just at Elian Codes, as you can see right here in the bottom,
Yeah, I'm
or
just
just on
adding
my
that
website.
quickly.
Yeah, thank you. Or just on my. Oh, you spelled it wrong, Tim.
I saw that. I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it.
Or just on my website, which is www.alien.codes.
Perfect.
And otherwise, you probably will find me on GitHub, or just in the Astro Discord. Which is also, if you're interested in Astro, you should go there. There is a support squad dedicated to just helping people out and stuff.
That's
So you
awesome.
should
I
join.
actually am not in that Discord because I'm
Yeah,
in
you
too
should
many
join.
Discords, but I will join because I'm starting to look at doing more projects and different things, and this will definitely be on the
Yeah.
list. But then Svelte is also on the list, but maybe you can do that through Astro.
Oh yeah,
Who
you
knows?
can. You can.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can do
All
so
right.
many with
Um,
Astro.
exactly. Thank you so much for joining. I had a lot of fun working with you, and like we're almost 1.5 hours in, and there's still a bunch of
Oof.
people watching. So this was very exciting and very cool.
Awesome.
Dude, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for inviting me.